William Morrow, and I'm a teacher and teacher trainer here at International House London. This is just a short video to say hello and how happy we are to be working with you to create this new series of short videos on current trends. Within this series, we'll be looking at a range of topics. We'll be looking at language and skills, we'll be looking at different approaches, and we'll also be looking at different techniques and materials. Within the language and skills topic, we'll be looking at pronunciation techniques for large classes. We'll be looking at making reading more fun and interactive, how to evaluate a student's speaking, and using critical thinking in the classroom. For approaches, the videos will cover things like memorization and recall tasks. We'll be looking at using situational presentations, and we'll also be looking at using dialogues and grammar in tasks. And then finally, with the techniques and materials, we'll be looking at gamification, we'll be looking at using and exploiting dialogues, and we'll also be looking at correction techniques that you can use in your classroom. Okay, so thank you again. We really hope you enjoy the videos.
Hi, my name is Steve and I'm a teacher and teacher trainer here at International House London. And welcome to this series of teacher development videos. Before we watch today's video, you need to be aware that at times you will be asked to pause the recording and do some reflection. So for that reason, I recommend you allow maybe 15 or 20 minutes for watching this video. So let's get on to looking at today's topic. And in this video, we're going to be talking about making reading lessons engaging and interactive. So why make reading more engaging and interactive? Well, reading is often seen as a passive process. Lessons often lack interaction, and they are associated with silence and individual work. But reading lessons can be very engaging and active. They can involve a lot of communication, and they can be collaborative and creative while promoting critical thinking. When thinking of reading tasks and activities, we can think of a lesson being separated into three parts: before the learners read, while they read, and after the learners read. So what might a teacher do before students read? Please pause the recording and think. One suggestion might be to encourage some prediction. For example, looking at key words from the text. And using visuals. Using titles and subheadings. And eliciting ideas and language from the learners. So we never just say, read this, we try to give an incentive to read. Please pause the recording and let's try this. Look at the vocabulary, look at the title, look at the pictures. What do you suspect the text is about? When eliciting ideas and language, my learners would say something like, how much plastic we throw away. Or how much plastic waste is in the ocean. Now, this is also an opportunity to teach some language that might appear in the reading text. For example, if a learner says the amount of plastic waste in the ocean, I know that the text contains the word debris. So it's an opportunity to pre-teach some vocabulary and prime the learners for the reading. Similarly, if the learners say sea animals, I know that the text uses the phrase marine life. Learners can also discuss or debate the topic before reading. For example, they could discuss in groups, Do the advantages of plastic outweigh the disadvantages? Why? Why not? And do you think plastic pollution is the greatest problem we face right now? Learners can also set goals for reading. So here we have the title and a subheading: How microplastics in the ocean pose a threat to biodiversity and human population growth. So learners can make notes or discuss what they already know about this topic, but also what they want to find out. So learners might know that plastic doesn't biodegrade and there's a large collection of plastic waste in the ocean. And maybe they think plastic is now found in our food. There are clues based on these visuals and the language from the text. But they might want to know what these numbers refer to. And they might want to know more specifically, how does plastic affect human population growth? So what can learners do before they read? We can help to build engagement and curiosity through prediction tasks and discussion tasks. But what might learners do while they read? Here is half of the text. And again, I would like you to pause the recording. And this time I want you to check your predictions that you made before, but also think, what could the learners do while they read? One thing we can encourage the learners to do is to interact with the text. So reading is an active process. Learners can record interactions while reading, and they can share their interactions in small groups. For example, they can have a key where they mark a symbol to record how they feel or what their reaction is with some information in the text. If we look at this paragraph, a learner might be surprised that there is a swirling mass of plastic fragments in the North Pacific Ocean that covers an area 3 times the size of France. Or a learner might want to know more about the effects that the plastic has on sea creatures. For example, I wonder which sea creatures are most affected. Another suggestion is that learners can respond to the text. How do they feel about the text? They can complete sentence stems. So this part of the text is important. This part of the text doesn't seem important. And this part of the text makes me feel a particular way. And here are some examples. And again, they can share these responses with their partner. Learners can also stop and summarize as they read. This can be very useful when the text is quite long. Learners can read one paragraph at a time and stop and summarize with a partner. They can also predict what will come next. What might this look like in practice? If we look at this paragraph, I want you to pause the recording again. I want you to read this paragraph, and how would you summarize the information in this paragraph? So one learner might say that this paragraph is about how plastics are now found in the human body, and maybe their partner will agree or contribute. Yes, it also suggests that it's actually becoming quite normal. And again, they can predict what might come next or later in the text. And multiple choice is a nice way to do this. So what can the learners do while they read? We can encourage them to interact both with the text and with each other. So finally, what can learners do after they read? I want you to pause the recording here and just think, what would make nice activities to do after reading this text? Here are some suggestions. We can encourage further reading and discussion. For example, learners can write 3 to 5 questions that they still have about the text. They can do some online research to answer those questions. For example, a learner might want to know how this Great Pacific Garbage Patch was discovered. Or they might want to know more about what it consists of. And again, learners can report their findings to the rest of the class. Learners can also participate in role plays and debates based on the themes of the text. So the teacher can give role cards. For instance, student A might be a scientist. Student B might own a plastic manufacturing business. And student C could be an environmentalist. And this encourages learners to consider different points of view, recycle ideas and language from the text, and ultimately help to develop critical thinking. Finally, learners can get creative. For example, they can work in groups to create a public awareness poster. For example, 5 tips to use less plastic. And learners can vote for the best tips. So what can learners do after they read? We can allow for some creativity and further discussion. We've looked at a few ideas now of what learners can do before they read, what learners can do while they read, and finally, some activities for what learners can do after they have read. So an important question now is, which of these ideas would work in your lessons? And if you want to find out some more about developing learners' reading skills, many of these ideas and many more can be found in this book by Peter Watkins. Thank you for your attention. I hope you found that useful and interesting, and please try some of these ideas with your learners.